3rd July peaceful protest to Parliament must be prepared to accept these dangers. Nevertheless, we emphasize that this will be a peaceful protest, and we urge the men and women in uniform to acknowledge this and fulfill their duty to protect the interests of all Ugandans on that day. Definitely, we hope to notify the police and cooperate with the police, and we hope that the police will maintain peace. And I'm being very optimistic right now, but we can only hope for the best, because we know obviously Uganda's political landscape differs from Kenyan's more progressive democracy. But definitely the demand to end corruption is inevitable, and we've had different actors in Uganda politics that have contributed hugely to making us aware of the necessity and urgency that is required for Ugandan citizens to stand up and take action against corruption, as our leaders have failed us in this area. And for the success of this protest, we only hope that Ugandans will unite, and we also hope for a positive response from the government, because usually we know the government usually retaliates in a violent and brutal manner. Yes. So as Ugandans, we will be marching against corruption on that day, and we appeal to the humanity of the Uganda police force to acknowledge that corruption affects them too, not just us.
All right.
Yes, Nicholas.
All right,
Yes. I still have a few things to add.
Okay, just add it, just a minute, and then I can bring in other people.
Okay. Yes. Nicholas earlier said that the Kenyans had a specific demand, and our demand in Uganda is also very simple. We all know that corruption is taking place, and we only want an end to corruption. Yes, and that's all. And I hope this is a reason that resonates with mostly all Ugandans. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Cynthia, for your submissions. Charles Ogira. Charles Donaldson.
Yes, thank you so much, Solomon, and all the listeners. First and foremost, I must say that the protest in Kenya has really set a new trend for all the youth across several divides across East Africa and, of course, beyond. But my fear is that, one, we are operating in a military regime that from our inception to power or to government, they held a gun on anything that would deter them from capturing power. And the surge, the LRS surge in northern Uganda, redirected the democratic trends of Uganda in a manner that it is subjected people into complete state of desolation, fear, and apathy. And it groomed in us, where we can't even question certain actions of our own parents if we know that what they do to us is wrong. Instead, we have to obey. We have to commit to whatsoever thing that they tell us. Also, the civil society network in Kenya is a very strong one. They have a very strong cobweb network that, working hand in hand with the civilians, with the people, to ensure that they challenge the democratic, the constitutional issues in their countries, the human rights violations in their countries. And it is not the case in Uganda. Much as civil society have tried, I would arguably say it is probable that some civil society organizations are in bed with the state because they have failed to speak up on the critical issues that affect the people. We have failed to see civil society leaders come and say, let us be the ones to hold the placards and front ourselves to Parliament. We instead want to, mobilize people to come together for the usual workshops, capacity building and trainings, but we have failed as civil society network to put into tangible and workable approaches that vividly make us come at the forefront, and so the rest of the civilians or the protesters who do not have a backing to follow us. If we are to come first, then the rest of the civilians in every other pockets of the country will say yes. The fact that we have the civil society organizations coming first, telling us, let's do this, they have trained us, yes, they have empowered us, let's do this all together, it will work. But it's a situation where Karamoja is facing its own problem. No, Gulu or northern Uganda, say Lira, Gulu facing their own problem. To Tororo, I mean, we have our unique challenges which are state managed to, position us in a situation that we can never raise our head or our hands beyond what we feel we should condemn. And we have failed to identify a common advocacy issue that we should front as a people, say to parliament. The very last one is, of course, the arms of government. They are not working hand in hand. You find that the executive has cordoned the parliament, of course, the policymakers, and the judiciary is also acting in line with what these people expect them to do, the military regime, of course. So it will make us somehow fail to achieve what we want as a country until we are able to redraw our paths, become intentional, get angry enough like we have never before. We may not achieve what we desire as a country. Thank you so much, but I appreciate you for all the time putting into measures that can make us speak up as a people. Thank you so much.